Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and the Oracle, a space where we engage in spiritualist conversations that deepen understanding, inspire transformation, and spark meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole of the Oracle, and as always, I am joined by my amazing co-host, the Warrioress Ardeshir A'ren, also known as the Alchemist.
Is that me?
Welcome to our channel. So today we are continuing the countdown to my birthday, which means we're going on summer break. Yay! So I have random topics in here. I'm going to pull and see what topic we're going to be talking about today. Let's see. Oh, wow. So the topic is
Oh, wow.
feeling at home within yourself.
Ooh. I like Saturday session. Yesterday with Major. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So
Feeling at home with inside yourself.
feel feel at home within yourself. So we're going to talk about what does that mean? Like come home to you. What grounds, soothes, and reminds you of who you are is the directive that I got for this. All right. Okay. So now that I know what we're talking about, um, when you hear feel at home within yourself, like we both were kind of like, I took a pause. I felt that deeply in my soul, and you exhaled deeply. Um, why is this hitting you in the way that it's hitting you? And I'll share why it's hitting me in the way I forgot that I put this in here, honestly.
Because even if y'all don't know, there's in this ending, she'll probably do another one. Spiritual Study Sanctuary was talking about that, and it has a lot to do with the two books that we're in,
By
Living the
Iyanla
Infinite
Van
Way.
Zant.
My Bad by Iyanla Van Zant, Spiritual Studies Sanctuary, also known as SSS. And the books that we're dealing with that go hand in hand, and both of these authors are like decades in age away from each other. I believe Brenner is been passed or crossed, which is Living the Infinite Way and the Impersonal Life. And the last one had to do with the Garden of Eden, and then Good and Evil. And then in the chapter in the Living Way was supposed to do had a lot to do with God is law in operation. And so with that said, but her message was so deep and it's coming back talking about who we are and basically to let go of what everyone else says or think you are. But the whole thing is what we feel about ourselves within. Who am I? Who am I? Who truly am I? Away from, then I was on YouTube a little bit last night. It's like, who are you away from the titles when you take away doctor? And then I thought about, well, hell, Warrioress is just kind of my surname, but okay, we take away that, take away all the names, the jobs, all this stuff. Who are you really? And it's like, well, I always tell people, say I'm a child of the Most High. The Most High. What does that mean for me? It means that I tap into the authenticity of who I am, the love that I am, regardless to what I've been through. And for me, I can say that because somehow about my soul's journey was that I didn't get bitter, that I didn't get this. Who am I? I am the grace of love, love, light, peace. Always, always admire my peace. And even though when we're trying to get our peace, we think that we're alone and we're not. So the essence for me is divine connection of walking in my purpose and knowing that I am this loving, brilliant person, not having anything to do with education, but has already had been a part of who I was when I came in body. And that when I came in body, there was something, unfortunately, that I had to go through as Tina Marie, and now I stand in Warrioress Ardeshir A'ren, the dancing alchemist, which is that is my connecting with my authentic spiritual self, the one that has always been level-headed, didn't understand a lot of things about the world and why we did things to each other. So it became more of trying to understand others. And it's not so much that in behaviors. And so this quote that Iyanla Vanzant says something about um if someone says something, if it ain't true, if it ain't true about you, I forgot how I said, I really actually love that quote. Um, then when somebody says something, then we speak about if someone she talked about criticism versus oh, what was it? Criticism versus um I'm gonna have to come back to it. Don't want to come to me now. But there's a difference between what you're talking about constructive criticism and I can't think of the other word now. But I find out how I walk
I
or
say
the mellowness that I have.
constructive versus destructive is kind of how it's they say constructive versus unconstructive, but I think it's more destructive.
I'll have to go back.
That's
That's
how
just hard to
I
do it.
identify it.
I would have to, I would,
Helpful versus not.
yeah, but there's another word and it actually fits real well. And I can't stand when that goes off because it was in our study yesterday. Um, I don't think she mentioned in GCC Saturday, but yesterday's um
You are speaking all in code.
training, I'm trying to
You
get it
gotta
out. Yeah.
define things. Global community connection with Iyanla Vanzant. I'll write it down to link it. You guys can watch the video.
Well, that's why I have you, and I actually do not like acronyms like that. So, yeah, thank you for saying that. I don't, I do, I had to speak code many years ago. So,
I know. I can't wait
um,
till your birthday next year. We can reveal secrets that she learned being part of
yeah,
the government.
Global Community Network. If you go to that, you'll see it on YouTube, and you can save it, and then probably get in the links when you can receive when she's gonna go on, because she's being guided more by spirit. And when she used to come on, it used to be every week, but then it went to once a month, and just when she gets called, because she's definitely doing a lot. And
Mhm.
she's right, she's got people, but it ain't so much about having that team. This woman is just truly, truly, truly blessed. And so looking at that, and however y'all want to look at blessed, if you just want to go metaphysically and looked up the word blessed and find out it was, then you'll be okay with yourself. So
Mm.
you have to tap into that nature. So for me, I've been a caring, it's a part of a generational. Now that I'll talk about generational thing of serving people and just showing what's possible, and considering that my given name and that person has went through so much and still chose to be a giving, loving, and unhelpful, unhateful, um bitter person, just says a lot about who I am, regardless to what I've endured. To be the, just dancing takes me away. And I realized when I was listening to a jazz moment last night that I embody this gracefulness of music and spirit, and just celebration of life. And then there's times where I won't be bothered. It's very seldom, but just the essence of light force and life force energy.
So what I hear you saying is that for you, dancing is how you come home to you. Is how you ground. I'm looking back. It's how you ground, how you soothe, and how you remind you of who you are. What is it about dancing that does that for you?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I'm interviewing you again.
No, no, that's good. It's something that I guess I need to put in writing. I when I get back at earlier in April, this is just tell you how fast time was because I went to an 80th birthday party. A lot of people dance. I just it's just something. You get a music that just carries me, and then sometime I can probably actually leave the room.
So it speaks to you on a soul level. So it's almost like you know how some people have like this out of body transcendent like state.
This this what
They have this
you
out
cut
of
off right there.
body like
Yes.
transcendent like state when you're dancing.
So that one I didn't go quite out, but it's just like yes, just like yesterday I just went and I just started this gracefulness moving and I'm like, oh my God. And then listening to this jazz beats. And so the one thing that happened, and I've lost the way I was in, I ended up being in excruciating pain this night, bringing in the new year on the other side of town. And this jazz musician who plays the saxophone is one of the sexiest instruments on the planet. So I remember getting on there, had my dancing shoes, and I actually closed my eyes on the floor. There was a whole bunch of people in the room. Would nobody get up on the floor, but this sound, what he's playing just moved me. So I got up, I had to make sure that I didn't go to this other part so I wouldn't trip because it wasn't close. It was like two stages put together. And I actually left the room and I was still dancing. And I know that my eyes were not open. And that's how I moved. That's kind of where you want to be when I talk about alchemize, when I talk about transition, never going back to a state or an experience that you had because you are no longer living that experience. And that's what Major and a lot of us say, you're no longer living that experience. So if I ever talk about some in my past, I'm trying to make a point of reference or a point of something to give you to understand something. So yes, that was a time that I actually was on the dance floor and recognized that I was gone. I was just gone.
I think that's a really good story to share in how important it is to know how you can connect on that soul level for you specifically. So
Hmm.
for you, you have that awareness that dancing, it connects you to your soul. You know, because I look at like, because you know, I work a lot with like the soul and the expression and getting people in a space of feeling safe to hear the messages and to decode the soul expression. And I think dancing is another way, a beautiful way of getting in such a state of flow with your soul that it becomes embodied. You get into that flow state and like all your chakras are just like activated and aligned and I'm sure after you it's very euphoric. Like afterwards you kind of come back to
Yes,
your body, you're like tingling, right? I mean, that's
that was
how it may be
amazing.
something else for you, but it feels so good, right?
Yeah, it does.
To the point where you
Yeah.
almost kind of want to go back.
Yeah. It's a lightness. It's a lightness. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's a lightness. And I'd have to say that I remember I posted some on FB and I don't post much, but because I wanted to touch people, whatever I do, and I realized that I have that. So it's like I'd post, "Hey, I'm having a party. I'm partying," and I'd have my music. I had the speakers everywhere. And one of them said, "We know it's just you." I said, "But there's a lot of me partying with me, so it's so much." I ain't gotta have no human beings to have a party, but I mean, if you want to come join me, come join me. But
She's having a party with the ancestors and the animals.
oh man, yeah, Queen Elizabeth was still. I pick her up. She tolerated me. Then she just said, "I'm just gonna let her do
She's
what
like,
she
I'm
want to do." Then I
done.
put her down. Said, "Mama, gonna dance with me." I had a Russian blue feline. She was a sweetie pie. And so all of the babies that I had, including the fox terrier while we grew up, were all something special.
They're
Yeah,
such gifts to the soul. They really are. I like all the animals are. Like this morning,
yeah.
the birds, and like early in the morning, the birds are like, I don't know what they're saying. I really wish I could discern what they're saying, but they're all just singing and talking. And I'm like, oh,
I know it's
it's so
crazy.
beautiful. It's to the point where it drowns out the noise of the interstate because they're doing construction on the interstate that's closest to me. And I'm like, wow, the power to drown out that noise and just the beauty of it. And it just feels so, I just close my eyes and listen to it. And it's just like it just washes over me. And I feel like tingly and just I feel like I'm connected on that home level that we're kind of talking about.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
beautiful. I love
we're
animals.
all connected. It's just like if I see, before I bring this in, like there's been a couple of deer hitting other animals, and so lately I just been saying, "Bless that animal soul," whatever. I mean, because there's a connection when we see injury, when we see,
Oh, it breaks your heart, right?
loss. Yeah.
That happened.
So,
Yeah.
so this one, and I wish that I had recorded this. I was over at one long-term view I went to school with, played ball with, that's still here, and over in this cul-de-sac where they are, I walked out. I haven't been over there in a minute, so walked over there and walked out the house, and these crickets, there was a symphony going on that I heard that I had to make this person that I know realize. I said, "Do you hear this? Do you hear this? Do you hear this? Listen, there was a symphony going on. I mean, we could have put the cheers out. This was a free symphony. And you could hear this
Mm-hmm.
here, over here. They were going with a different, and then this other set of crew was going with something. And I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It was beautiful. And so that's how I know how my soul connect to to the divineness of all things.
So you described how what does home in yourself looks like and feels like and
Oh, more.
how you can like a practice that you've identified that you can come back and feel at home, which is dancing. Um
Yes.
so I want to get real on this, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
one thing that did come up is you were talking about the importance of silence and I was having a conversation with a client and she was asking me my take on how do I make space for the quiet beyond the time that I have to be in silence. Um, she's got like 5 kids and a husband and a whole lot of animals in her house.
That
And
is a lot.
I I told her, my suggestion was how can you enter that space of be with doing, like being with your doingness and
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to this topic of being at home with yourself, is like connecting to your soul, and how can you be with everything that you're doing? How can you bring your soul into everything that you're doing? How can you find what you're talking about, find the joy as best as you can? How can you find the peace in the chaos? How can you find
Yes.
the the excitement, the passion, and the to-do list, right? I think it's important to be at home with yourself no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are. Because like you said, being in silence, it helps you to remind yourself that, oh wait, I'm already home. It's the illusion of the disconnection that being in silence, being with yourself, it clears that blurry vision, that sense of disconnection, that false thinking, or that false reality of thinking that we could ever disconnect from ourselves. We can't. And I think that's also really kind of important to say too. Like, I'm being told to say that if you feel a sense of disconnection, uh, that you may feel that way. Honor how you feel and ask yourself, why do I feel that way? Do you feel disconnected because you're overwhelmed with your to-do list? Are you disconnected because you're overwhelmed with the life that you're living and the experiences that you're having? And sit with it, be honest, and embrace it. And I think we really have to be honest about the things that we do in our life, the things we say yes to. I'm going through this myself in this unraveling, because there's this leveling up that's happening with me. I'm like transitioning into a
Mm-hmm.
new, I'm like the snake. I'm the snake
Yeah.
that is shedding, and it's uncomfortable, and you are the snake too. And my next question I have here for you is, because I think a lot of people are struggling with what's going on in
They
the
are.
world.
They are.
And so the question I want to kind of explore with you is this idea of, you know, how is it possible to feel at home within when the outer world feels chaotic? Because, we can say, like, find your home, be home, find your soul, find the joy in the to-do list. And people are like, how do I do that in tangible ways? How do I find the joy when my house is on fire?
Well, that sounds like maybe you're just talking about when your hair on fire. You got to get in silence. You have to make that way. You have to become your priority, because if you don't, you either end up sick or dead. So, and not in the life of that. And so, with that, she said, catch your hair on fire. Your hair on fire.
That's a really good point. The hair on fire, right? If your hair is on fire, what she's saying is you need to get still. Because if you're moving
Mm-hmm.
around, it's just
Mm-hmm.
going to catch even more and more and more and more. Then your
It's just
hair,
like get down, get on the ground and roll
yeah,
when
stop,
your
drop, and
body's on
roll.
fire. Yep. And and then eventually once it's done, most people just stop and they're like, oh my God, the fire's out. Thank God. Or thank the universe, whoever your higher power is. And that. So yes, it's all about sincerity. I did it. If y'all want to go to my YouTube channel, you're under Warrioress Ardeshir A'ren. I just did something talking about peace in the chaos. And I was down at the lake, which is one of my spots, or any big, huge body of water is one of my spots. Lake, no matter. And so, regardless of what's going on in the world, you have to pull away from it. So, you have to put the phone down. You have to turn the TV off. Maybe go ahead and put on some music that you like. I am telling you, or mentioning to do that, get out and do something that you wouldn't do. And for most of us, like I said, my electricity was just out for like I come home, it's out. And I'm thinking it's gonna come back on. I don't have no air, I don't have no fan, and I do not open up these windows. Not till I get some other windows. Now I go somewhere else and I can open up the windows, but not here. So with that said, I was able to shift. So I had the tea light candles. I put stuff everywhere because see, I walk around with hardly any light anyway. So I just had to make sure I didn't go in the refrigerator too much. And I had just brought some food home and had a cassata cake. Y'all don't know what that is. I just found a good one, a good cassata cake. And so brought a little slice of that home. And so it was just very interesting. And so this was a time, no TV. I had the phone, but it was limited. I was just using the flashlight till I got everything else set up and found the other one. I had to go put my car in the garage and you have to do the thing and you can lock it, open it up, and then close the garage by hand. Old school. Okay. You just do what you gotta do. I just wasn't leaving it outside. And I have my reasons. And it has a lot to do with the eight-legged things. We don't want them making homes on me. So I just keep it real with you. So because we got these things called wolf spiders.
Yeah, don't mess with the outside ones.
They gotta come inside. That's the problem. Because if they black, I don't have a
Yeah, they
problem with daddy long
don't.
legs. They're the only ones I have a problem with. So back to finding your peace and all this is that you have to disconnect from it.
Yeah.
You have to choose to disconnect. I can walk around any house I'm in, and wherever I go, it's my home. So
For the most part.
I like a song. We won't talk about that song. That ain't it. But anyway,
Hey, what? What is going on over there? She's having a party by herself right now in conversations that I am not privy to.
it's the
What
it's
just
a
happened?
song about wherever Papa Lance had as his home. But I said no, because
Oh, yeah, I don't know about
spirit
that
be tripping.
song.
Spirit be tripping. So I was like, why you bring that up? And why did I even mention it? But that's
Well,
why I
thank
said
you for that
no.
because now that song is rolling in my head. Shall we sing it? Papa was a rolling
Rolling
stone.
Stone. Wherever
Where
he
he
laid
laid
his
his
hat
hat
was his
was his
home.
home.
Oh my God, I
He
can't
left
even.
us all alone. That's a really sad song.
It is. It is. Oh Lord. Look, I told you the music, and I'm telling you that everything to bring me and just elevate me from the point coming from my mother's womb is music. I was already, like I said, I was already into it. But when she crossed, music started coming up, songs I hadn't heard and I don't know when, like On Your Face by Earth, Wind and Fire. The lyrics were so on point back. I mean, and the song still hits. It's been 8 years since she crossed on May
Do you
9th,
think your
and
mom speaks to you through music?
she did like her jazz though. She loved that station. They kept taking off. We don't even have one anymore. It's a possibility because certain things have come on and then I say hi. And then I know Walking the Dog I first heard at my grandmother's, so which is an old school song. It's something about the music and then I know the lyrics too. But yeah, there's been times where no doubt she's I believe that she
I was
has.
just curious. Just curious.
Yeah, Sugar Pie Honey Bun is one of them, which is called Can't Help Myself by the Four Tops. So,
Oh, thank you
yeah, I've been
for
grew up with
giving
that one.
another song that replaced Papa was a Rolling Stone. Make my better.
Yeah, I mean, so, but a lot of spiritual animal messengers to let me know something, and then sometime I thought I had released certain stuff and still get the message. Nope, you still ain't releases and you still ain't released that. So just coming more
Mm,
of being and creating because everything she was talking about is that we realize that everything is energy. And whatever that we put out or think about that is in the manifestation. So we're going through whatever thoughts we've had, and this chaos is going on now. People will say, well, I didn't vote for so and so, but still the collective energy was the collective energy. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The thing is coming back to you, come and find out who that is, journaling out, looking at what and getting back to what is it, what is your divine
Hmm.
purpose, what is your creativeness that is to make this world, because we don't all connect with each other. I hope that most of y'all connect with us that don't, but we all have a group of people that we are here to serve in many different capacities, whether you be a coach. And like I said, it's not so much about the title, but what is it for you to be? So you have to shut off of that. You have to shut off because there's still good things going on. And this is an example. Let's go back to 2008, 2009.
Ooh,
Okay.
I wasn't born then.
Oh, wow. Yeah, whatever. There were some people who on this probably weren't. Well, what is this? Some of them probably 17, 18 now. That's it. I'll be pushing 20, so 18 or whatever. What's it, 2025? Yeah, so we're talking 17 or something.
Yeah, I can't
So
wait so I can have my first alcoholic drink with you.
word.
She's just gone with it. She's just like, okay, this girl has lost her mind.
And
2000,
so
wait, 2008?
2008, 2009, the housing whole thing, the financial little deal thing that went down. Uh, a lot of it because of the company that I was with.
I never recovered
Um,
from graduating from college, so
yeah, you got to. I mean, yeah, we won't even talk about why it costs so much to do that, and then people can't even, yeah, whatever, get the jobs to even kind of knock that stuff off within a reasonable amount of time. So when we're talking about releasing and letting go that, and I was getting about how good things going on, I will mention one of my best one of the best dudes. And so, and even though we were having that go through, and I know the reason why some people got in that trouble, because we think that we're going to be doing something, but we don't change our mindset to make that happen, is that some people got in houses for a low price, low rate. Some of them got in the one where a certain amount had to be due within 10 years. And 10 years, I'm telling you, go by fast. Tell me, ask me, because I know. 8 years that went by fast. Ask me how I
she's
know.
a young tot. I'm sorry.
Ask me how I know. Oh, oh shit. I mean, I'm under 10, but no, I kind of made it past that.
Well, 8 years, yeah, because you're a little bit older than me. Wait, how are you younger than me and I'm only 17? Wait a
Oh,
minute.
my
Okay.
spirit's younger than most people. My soul is old, but my spirit is younger than most people. So when you grow up and
Mm,
people tell you got an old soul, you run with it, not knowing nothing. But I know why. I know why now, because of a wisdom I came in here with. I don't, that it just is what it is. I have to own that. I have to own it. I believe if I want to keep it real with y'all, all of us have in some degree done. A lot of us witness it or are aware of it. That's the whole thing, is becoming aware of who you are.
yeah.
So there was a lot of good things going on, but I couldn't stay in the news. I couldn't do it because of the company, what I knew was going on, but anything that goes down always comes up. So you have to understand that now we need to make changes in our own self and our own consciousness about who we run, and not one person should have any one thing control over your life, but the creator and this and that. And because I know the beliefs or limiting ones I had is that we have to conquer those things and stop relying on other people to do what we can do for ourselves. And it's hard to know that because we're used to being designated about our worth. Okay, if you work this job, you get paid this much. That's like, okay, you worth this, you worth that, this and that. And we have to understand, but somebody needs to do the job. That's why any environment or anybody that does clean, I say, thank you for what you do. Somebody's doing, you may not want to do it, but you don't demean nobody. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, there was still my business was still growing and still performing. It's just that sometimes we have to make the change and do something different. And I've experienced that. And then I also sat with it because my body has always been that thing where I could tell it to do whatever I wanted to do till there was a time that it didn't. That was really rough on a sister like me. You understand? So yeah, and here I am. When I talk about alchemy, I am alchemizing, but I alchemize with my creator. And now I have to alchemize and continue to uplevel the consciousness to align with the design of the desires that I've had. And why hasn't it happened? And that's where I'm at. And then doing this and continue to do the work with Major Lonely Van Zandt and others, Tony, Dean, all them to get out and share so nobody has to go through. Because I remember some of my colleagues said, well, I'm letting you know this so you don't have to go through it. You're going to do some, but you don't have to go through this because it already done been through it. And how to recover from some of those things that you have been through, harassment, some other things that maybe we'll have a conversation on and we'll just make people aware. It's going to be raw and to let that energy go. You know the work I've done in the last 5. You know who I've done it with and why. And because it's been around, it takes time for you to continue to release. It doesn't happen overnight. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for everything fast, like the phones. If things are slowed down or things get knocked down, we look at it now. Thank God, if things would have kept going, I would have had another option to take my food somewhere to put in the freezer. They may not like it, but it was going to happen. And I loved them to pieces. So, yes. So, yeah. So, it just is, being in my office, home office, you have that, options, choices. And I think that, you have to understand, if you want to talk about it, I said that all the electric could go out, we could get rid of all the electronics and I would survive. Actually, I would still thrive.
I would be thriving if all the electronics went out. I'd be like, oh my God, yay.
But what I know now, yeah. Oh, girl. I mean,
oh my gosh.
So,
but we would
have
be
to disconnect.
we would be the ones that would be really like, oh, this is wonderful. And people would be losing their
freaking
mind.
it. Yeah, freaking out. Seriously, freaking out. Freaking out.
And we'd be like,
but
why? Why? Why the freak out? But
I need a whole shed of candles and batteries and lights. And matter of fact, my mother got me something to hang on me where actually I could have flipped it up and read the book. Could have had a little something here, and I forgot I got this thing over here. I forgot. You want me to show you? I won't go get it now, but it's
no, we're
over there.
recording. Do you have a solar
I
powered?
know that. I know.
I have a solar powered battery, and then I have one that you crank up to get the
Okay.
power. Yeah.
Yeah, this one I think
You
has
can
got good
tell our
batteries.
power goes out a lot down here, so because of the storm.
Yeah, that's too much.
Mind it.
Yeah, at the house, the company that the electricity shouldn't go out here like that this much. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. It's just horrible because it blew a couple of
Yeah,
computers back in
it
the
should.
day before I moved back home.
It shouldn't.
And
Right.
yeah,
Why
but
does
I
it?
forgot I had this. You just reminded me I had this over here and I could have pushed the button. I could have sat it right here and read, but by the time I got home and settled up and got everything where it was going to be, and it was quiet, it was so nice that,
That part. You know what? I remember growing up, whenever it was a thunderstorm, we would turn everything off because
yeah,
it was you honor God doing his work is that was like on my dad's side, and they
this
deeply
is a
believed it.
magnet. Yeah,
They
we turned
deep
off the TV back in the day.
No, it wasn't that. It was honoring. I don't think they realized the connection of where we, because okay, so a little context around like my family on my dad's side. They grew up in the mountains, and they grew up in the mountains in North Carolina. And so there's a lot of native Cherokee people. And I've had conversations with Cherokee natives, and it's part of their honoring the element of the water and honoring the power that thunderstorms have. And so
Mm.
they don't realize it, but I remember having a conversation with this person. I was like, oh, okay. I understood the spiritualized context around doing that. I don't think my family knew that was just something that their mother
I never
did
knew. Yeah, I
and
never
they
knew it
did.
like that.
And I think there's different levels to it based on like the cultural understanding of
Oh,
how
I know.
they connect and see God.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
remember we would turn everything off and we would sit quietly. We couldn't talk. And those were like the most
Interesting.
beautiful moments of, and what I would do is I would go and I would look outside and I would look at the thunder and I would look at the rain and just the smells and the sounds. And for me, because I had that experience at such a young age, whenever we have these thunderstorms, they ground me to God.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
The smell of rain grounds me. It brings me back home in such a wonderful way. To the other day, the power went out during one of these thunderstorms, and it reminded me of those times that I would be with my grandmother and my great grandmother, and like, and they didn't even say anything. Everything went out. And we were like, okay, we know. And it was to the point where my great grandmother knew when a storm was coming in, and she was like, "Storm's coming in," and I'd be like, "What are you talking about? The sun's out!" Like I remember thinking, like, what? And sure enough, probably like an hour or so, a storm would start to come in. I don't know how the woman knew. And it were, and so when the power went out, I was like, maybe I need to start doing that again. Going back
Hmm.
into that practice of honoring the storm
Hmm.
coming in, because
Hmm.
it's a great reminder that this too shall pass. This too will
Yes. Yes.
see the power and the purpose of thunderstorms. One of the things that we would always do after the storm passed is we would go outside. Like, okay, go outside and be in the air and breathe the air in, because it clears the air. The electricity from the thunderstorms, it interacts with those ions, and it's just, and I'm sure you know, like the smell after a thunderstorm is so like,
It's
oh
unique. But back in the day when we had a thing, because there was a lot more earthworms, and I'm telling you, they came out and it smelled not
yeah.
only with the rain, but it smelled like earthworms. They just
They come
have a
out in the rain.
significant,
Why is that? Do you know why? I should look that up. Because whenever it's
yeah,
raining, there's
not
like
as many. I just found one,
earthworms
and
are
thank God
just
I didn't
coming
step on
out of
it.
the grass like crazy. And I'm
Not
like,
as much anymore, though.
they do
Have you
here.
noticed that? Not much up
No,
here
girl, they
anymore.
do. Cause I'm the crazy black chick in the neighborhood who's out there with her gloves and a bucket collecting worms to put in my garden. I
Oh.
kid you not. I'm like, oh, worm out there in the
Oh
rain.
my God,
To the
that's
point where my
funny.
neighbor was like looking like, he came outside. He said, "Are you okay?" He said, "I saw you down on the ground." And he's like, "I couldn't figure out what you were doing." I said, "I'm good." I didn't tell him that I was picking up worms because that ain't his business. And he's the creepy guy.
Uh-huh.
I was like, "Can you please go back in your house? I'm enjoying picking up worms by myself. This is
She
my
said it.
quiet time."
She said it. That's funny. Another thing is, you remember,
I
maybe
mean
don't,
it.
because where we grow up in the house, it's still here, the house here, we had antennas up on the roof. These
Oh,
big antennas. And so the TV to get reception and other things, maybe even radio, but there's like a normal, they're not much on the homes anymore.
Yeah,
And
it's not
so
around.
thunderstorm come, you turning off
Forgot
everything.
about though. I forgot
Turning
about
up
that.
everything.
But
Yeah, they were,
we didn't
yeah,
have any
had,
we didn't have
yeah,
any of that because they were in the mountains. They were like up in like they were in the mountains.
yeah,
So they
yeah.
didn't they had a TV, but we could only watch there was TV time during a certain time of day. And back then they didn't have 24-hour programming. I think it was to watch the news. That was the
I
only
think,
time the TV was on.
yeah, you talking about the big city. I think my mother, like I said, she had here in the land, she had I think Goulardi, we had he just passed though. We had the Ghoul. We had the Ghoul. She had Goulardi, and this was all about nighttime movies. And I think they might have been done showing the scary movies, maybe by two. And
Hmm.
then you had sign-offs. I think that was the only longest TV kind of running was the scary movies with the Ghoul. And then we had, I can't even think of it. Big Chuck and Houlihan ended up coming up here, and I think
I don't know what any of
Big
that
Chuck,
is.
think just left. So they were used to come on. They were both funny, hilarious, and then there wasn't a lot of commercials. Very few commercials, and then they would have their set. They would kind of be the commercial, and then they would go back to the movie. And it's hard to dynamic. I had to look them up because the dynamic was so dope. So, and they would be funny doing something, have some hilarious something, and then they would go back to the movie. Then you'd have maybe a commercial too here, and it wasn't long. It's just so different. Then it's just so different. And so you look at, ancestry. You look at certain things. It's like people say things run. There's certain things I'm not gonna say run the family. When I look at the other connection, I'm looking at something. I'm not looking at disease dysfunction in that light. But to interact with yourself is to be in that. Just like when the lights go out, you have electricity, set up the candles, set up something, you get into the reading or you start writing, and you just have to get out of the world. I think that as soon as I do something, I will be publicly reading this poem that I wrote 8 years ago last month. And that obviously Spirit knew what I would be doing or how I had to become and what I'd have to release and to undomesticate, which is the lead that pick up some of that, but don't make that a part of you. We can be part of the solution or part of the problem. Which one do you want to be? You know,
And are
are you
you
want to be
part
part of
of
the
the
solution
problem?
today?
I think it's another good
Yeah,
point is are you part of the problem of the
right.
experience of are you adding to the outer world feeling chaotic? I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
important to sit with that and be honest with yourself. Are you adding to the chaos? And I think a lot of people are adding to the chaos.
yeah, yeah,
One
yeah.
thing
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
you said you were talking about the president, right? Like a lot of people say I didn't vote for this guy, right?
Right. I was mentioning that, right?
It reminded me of the fact that this country seemingly, I'm not entirely sure that we're that divided. If I'm being, I don't feel we're
Right.
that divided,
Mm-hmm.
but based on the narrative that they push, I'll say it this way: half the country is not going to be happy with whoever is the president,
Right. Right.
and kind of leaning into like the question, like, is it possible to feel at home when the outer world feels chaotic? So thus you have half of the people in this country that feel instant chaos because who they want it to be the president is not,
Mm-hmm.
versus the other people, the person they wanted is in office. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier of the importance of not having such a soul connection, a soul tie connection to these humans. Okay, they're humans, they're not God.
Mm-hmm.
And putting all of your hope and what have you into them making your world feel less chaotic.
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
innately, what is going to happen is there's going to always be people who are not happy with the way the world is. And so it goes
Yes.
back to what I was saying, like, how are you adding to the chaos of the world around you? How can you learn to be in the world and not of the world? It kind of like now the story that I was saying, like the connection of how we would disconnect from the world and we would be in the world with God. We trusted and we knew like God was there. He was holding us. We were getting through this storm. We will get to the other side of it. And we saw the beauty and the power and yes, there was moments of like, ooh, that was intense. That was scary, you know, because they had some wild thunderstorms up on the top of that mountain.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
but it is 100% always possible to feel at home. And I think it's really important to feel at home within yourself continually
Mm-hmm.
because I don't I don't really care who is the president. Whoever the president is, I don't
Mm-hmm.
give a damn. I don't care who that person is
Right, 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 right.
because they're never going to live up to the power of God and his
Mm-hmm.
capacity to
That
move
right
my
there.
life in miraculous ways. I
That
don't
right
put my
there.
hope in man. I don't. I may find inspiration.
Yes.
There is inspiration in how I can reflect on how I'm adding to the chaos versus how I am kind of um, dampering it down. I
Mm-hmm.
think we have to really look at what does it mean to be at home within yourself. And so many people have so much attachments to other people being their home.
Yes. Yes. That brings up a point of something, and there's another song where people say, well, they don't feel whole without another human being. Well, you need to be whole before you even go into a relationship.
Oh, where they say like this person completes me.
Yeah,
You're the other half to my
yeah,
half. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
whole that's a great conversation. That's a great topic to talk about. I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, so we'll leave it there. I mean, so
No, go there. Go there
I
now.
mean, um, just because, you have to know who you are and who, because we get in a relationship with all this baggage, and I have to tell you that, I thought I was the best or tried to be the best person there was to do that. And sometimes, you just can't make other people happy. You have to make yourself happy. You have to be happy within yourself, and then nobody else can do nothing because you can't put any blame on anybody else.
Mm.
It's just a no. Where my glasses at? So that's just a no. So you you find this inner within yourself. So you have to be doing your work to continue release to release baggage, to release mask, pulling off the mask, putting off the shells that you've covered yourself with based upon what's happened to you. Our parents, now that we're at a certain point in life, our parents, we just have to, as Major E says, or Yana Van Zandt says, you just have to reparent yourself. And I don't think she's the only one that says that. So I'm just trying to figure, okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? And so you have the option that they only knew the best that they knew with what they knew how. The movie that I like, one of the ones I like so much is The Shack. And so when you look at that, and if y'all need to see the movie, I'm just going to bring out a part that this gentleman and what he had to do as a kid um, to his father. And it happened that his father, what was passed down to his father, they passed on. Like we talked about depression, the beatings, the whoopings, and how that's been passed down, and that I see that no more. I remember talking about that with my former spouse about being the kids and being spankings. She's like, no, I was like, well, no, that kind of, that's what we do. And then since I've been back And I get the understanding that that's not even what I needed. And then there was nothing talked about. You just got spanked. And then it's like, why? Or this, that, and the other, and kids being kids, and then me getting spanked for something that somebody else was doing to me. Yeah, no. So no. And
Yeah.
then it's like when my cousin was like, you know right from wrong. Kids gonna be kids, but it's like you sit down, come here, sit down. Now I asked you to do so and so and so. It's not because I know that the kids they have their own little ones and their spirits and they a little resistant. But the whole behavior is like you're going out into this world. And it's like, come here. I asked you to, can you tell me why you didn't do what I asked you to do? And they know, and they don't need to get in trouble. But what I do know is a fear to speak. I'm like, no, I need to hear you. It's okay for you to speak. You need to be heard. So come and tell me what's on your mind. And so to sit down and do certain things, and I have to have them speak up. Oh my godson. And so, we get to where that we cannot voice ourselves for the sake of getting in trouble. So Major Isa
Mm.
just mentioned I think it was on Global Community Connection on Saturday, and she's mentioned it before about just recently she brought it up again, and I guess in our work privately she mentioned her grandson, and I know I've had a conversation with one of my friends that's originally from here that's down in Florida about her son, and so Ayana Van Zandt, she says that my grandson ended up telling her she was mean. Now kids will come out and say what they know, how they receiving you. And then she mentions that if someone says it to you more than once or twice, and I guess three times, you might kind of want to look at yourself a little bit, you know, and find out
What is she?
another about the truth about you.
What is she? What was her
She
level
had
of
to she had to take a look
understanding?
at herself. She had to take a look, you know. And she was making an example where she mentioned the look, and she's like, me mean? I'm a yellow man, That's how she do it. Me, and she had to sit down and take a look at that, you know, with ourselves and certain other things. And then I think it was going back where she was talking about the difference between and use an example around criticism versus the other word that I can't seem to think of. But I don't think she was using criticism as that one word. I have to
Oh,
go back. I
critique.
think, yeah. Oh my goodness. That just blows my mind when that happens. Because normally, if I don't hesitate, normally you should just spit it right out when you second guessing. That's ego. So it's not letting me bring it out. And I'm trying to visualize the screen to see if I can pull it forward, but it's not happening. So that's all right. So she was using a different type of word along with that and the difference, between what constructive criticism is still
And
criticism,
critique.
but there's also a difference between that
Criticism
and
versus
condemning some
critique.
other stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
critiquing.
that was one of them. But I think oh man, I have to tell you later, it just won't be on our video, but things of that nature. But that's a good way to say it. And just looking at certain things and looking at ourselves and unmasking. And also there's the other thing of looking at the shadows and the shadow work. And for me, I'm like, oh, me, it's just like somebody following me. Who me? This is like going into a store and having somebody of the opposite race say, they looking at you and following you around the store or doing something of this nature. Like, who, me? Me? Not me.
Girl,
Really?
yes, you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
All right, so
So,
we we
yeah,
we have to wrap it up, my dear. The time flew by. Like the
it
last
did.
3 minutes flew by. I wanna ask you something fun. And quickly.
Hmm.
So we were talking about like what does home within yourself feel like? If you had, if your inner home had a style, what would it look like? Like what's your inner home style? So some of the like minimalist, futuristic temple and like maybe witchy cottage. Like those aren't the ones that you have to choose from, but just some ideas of what it could look like.
Well, that helps. I think when I look about it, even in a dream house that I would look at, which would represent my inner self, is a mix between modern, futuristic, and with a little old school. I like crown moldings. I like
Oh,
crown moldings.
okay.
But I want it also in the modern home, which one I was just visualizing a brand new one here in a nice area that had this beautiful, beautiful island. I need some because like I've heard something baked, but I need room. Making a German chocolate cake from scratch is something.
Yeah, because
And
you got to
even though
make the
I've done it
filling.
in less room, got a
Mm.
house on the table, I have grown.
I'm not
I
even
need
gonna.
space.
I'm not gonna touch that. So what's your inner what's that style? Crown molding. What else?
Yeah, it's a crown molding,
So your inner
having
home has the style of crown molding.
it has
Spaciousness is what I guess you were saying
no
with the
spaciousness, just the right amount to not be so overwhelmed.
okay.
Um, it is,
I love the crown molding. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
and then I didn't know the name of this too. I won't say so recently, but wainscoting, I like it, along with the new
So a lot of
futuristic.
like little details, like architectural details,
Yes,
like
yes,
structured lines.
yes,
Huh.
yes.
Okay.
Um,
That's
with
interesting.
a better a modern flow, entertaining vibes, my would represent the competitive person that I am. My inner home reflects my outer home in pool and darts and air
Okay, so
hockey and with
entertainment
flow,
zone.
entertainment zone.
Okay.
Um, Relaxing spiritual space. Joyce
Okay.
Meyer talks about she has a spiritual room, so
So
and then coming
nourish.
back to that,
So
yeah,
you had so you mentioned food, so a spacious spaciousness in
island.
nourishing
Hmm.
yourself. Then you had
Hmm.
entertainment in connection, and then the other one is grounding and ascension.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Mine
Yes.
would be, because I had time to think about it, mine would be everything is made out of crystal or glass. So you have light coming in
Mm.
with light coming in at the top, windows that can be open and closed, um, and round, not square, but like round, orbital. It would
I
be
like that.
orbital with different. I don't know. Have you seen like those domes that have like the little they're made out of glass, but they're kind of like this connected? Like I don't even. I'm not explaining myself well, but
No, I've been watching I
like
haven't watched
that.
lately.
That's how it
Hmm.
would be, but made out of glass, so you can see like the light fractures
They
coming.
are making
I
homes like you're
love,
talking about.
I love that. So it'd be rounded. It would be a round globe. Um, it would be I would have live plants inside.
Yeah, you
So it'd
would.
be like terrarium, a terraria
Okay.
where it
Okay.
can open up and close. And there would be a space to cocoon,
Yeah, that.
space to
Yeah.
cocoon and
I've seen a
close
home
out the
like I
light,
mean like
to
that.
close out the light. That's how I would describe the style of my inner home is that. And
I love it.
um you wouldn't be able to know that it's there because it's made out of like that iridescent like crystals.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like
So it looked
two
like part of the sky.
kind of like two-way mirrors where
Yeah.
I can see out, but you can't see
Can't
in.
see in. Okay, I like that too. Yeah, I didn't get into the windows, but yeah, I definitely have plenty of light.
And it would be like
Um,
earthy tones with um lavender, um scents, like flowers that smell really good and earthy and floral, and I would want, like, I'm just going there. I would like a water feature nearby too. I like water.
oh yeah, waterfall. I have
I don't
one
want
that
a
I
waterfall.
haven't
I
been
would
needed.
want like a stream, a flowing stream.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I would want the noise of the waterfall.
Oh,
But
that's so beautiful.
that's like my, and I want it to go down like the middle of my, it'd be inside. Okay.
Hmm.
Right, we're gonna leave it there.
So, yeah, well, here we just posed a few people. What is it that you think that could connect you to the home within yourself? After listening, and I'll also recommend that you definitely detach from your electronics for a certain amount of time every single day. It should be right at the end of the day, actually,
Mm,
before preparing to ending your day, reflecting on everything, ending your day. You have the kids and that, getting everybody settled. It is like, your spouse has to be kind of in tune with you as well. Um, and honoring that. It'd be nice if you're both in, that kind of space and spot
nope, I'm good.
of,
I need my
yeah.
alone time.
Yes, indeed, I do. And it's
I'll
okay. It's just
meet you
like I
in the
said,
bed.
don't, here's the other song, don't take it personal. When you think sometimes it's just like sometimes you have to go and you have to think because we have to realize we didn't come in this world together. And even the twins didn't come in at the same time. One came before it. I can't imagine both of you trying to come out of your mama's womb at the same time. That would kind of be rough. Shit is already rough. So, so
Okay, on that, we're gonna wrap it up here. So comment
yeah.
down below, what can you do to what's something you can do to return to yourself? Figure that out. So thanks so much for watching. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you to those who already subscribed to the channel, and give this video a thumbs up, share, and we hope to see you in the next video. Yeah.
Yes, y'all. Much love and peace.
Thanks for watching.